These are all 20 final forms in Dandadan. So let's get right into it with the final form of everyone's favorite nerd, Ken Takakura aka Okarun, and his Turbo Granny form. After Turbo Granny's spirit got ripped out of his body by Seiko and Momo, and she ended up sealed inside a Japanese cat doll, her spiritual power was left inside of Okarun, meaning he now had full control over her crazy powers, and could transform at will. So when he unleashes his Turbo Granny form, Okarun gets super speed, wild agility, and superhuman strength. Like when he uses his ultimate move All Out, he literally goes at 100 km per hour and destroys his enemies. However, he can only use All Out 2 times. After that, he burns out and loses his form until he recharges. Anyway, his look is also epic, with hair going crazy, glowing eyes, super cool mask, and he even changes personality. He becomes darker and moodier, but also more confident, as he now says Momo-chan instead of Miss Ayase to Momo. And don't forget, during the Danmara arc, when Okarun pushed past his 2 all-out limit, and his form literally mutated. His mask got sharper teeth, his glasses turned into creepy glowing eyes, and his white hair got longer and flowed back. Anyway, in his Turbo Granny form, Okarun becomes one of the most dangerous and unpredictable fighters in Dandadan, especially if you hurt Momo. Moving on, let's talk about another character with a yokai transformation, and that character is Aira Shiratori, and her Acrobatic Silky form. After being transferred Acrobatic Silky's aura, Aira inherited the yokai's powers, giving her a mask that looks just like the yokai's face, and her hair got way thicker and super long. And just like Okarun, her personality changes a bit too. She starts talking about honor and becomes even more foul-mouthed than usual. Now, in this form, Aira becomes crazy agile and moves with insane grace and flexibility. She dodges attacks effortlessly and lands pinpoint hits with some serious power. Her legs get a major boost too, letting her throw some heavy-hitting kicks at close range. But her real power lies in her hair. Yep, it grows super long, becomes ultra flexible, and turns into a legit weapon. She uses it to grab enemies, swing through the air, block attacks, and even launch herself like a missile. At one point, she even shapes it into a freaking drill. Basically, Aira's Acrobatic Silky form turns into an acrobatic beast, with speed, strength, and creativity, and some of the coolest hair-based attacks you'll ever see. Alright, we've got one more yokai form we just have to talk about, and that's Enjoji and his Evil Eye form, because this guy literally becomes the best football player in the world. Okay, jokes aside, after the Evil Eye tricked Gigi into taking over his body, the Evil Eye wants to wipe out all humans. However, eventually the Evil Eye makes a deal with Okarun to only fight him, which means the Evil Eye doesn't just go around trying to kill people anymore, which is good for everyone, especially the Ayase house. Still, as Gigi doesn't have control over his Evil Eye form, he does his absolute best to keep it at bay. But if he gets splashed cold water on him, he instantly turns into the Evil Eye. And in this form, he of course becomes a total monster, with incredible physical strength that can take out anyone with a single kick of his grudge balls. On top of his insane strength, he's got speed, reflexes, and enough agility to keep up with Okarun in Turbo Granny mode. He's also super durable. Like, despite being knocked out by Okarun, he just jumped right back into battle. And combine all that with his ridiculous hand-to-hand combat skills, and Gigi in the Evil Eye form can easily take on multiple tough enemies at once. So Gigi in his Evil Eye form is absolutely one of the most dangerous fighters in the series. Another strong fighter is Vamola, and her final form is her Bamora battlesuit form. Vamola was given this battle exosuit by her adoptive mom Banga before they were separated, and it's modeled after a kaiju-style Sumerian god. And yeah, it's as powerful as it sounds. As with hand-to-hand combat as her main style, the suit boosts her strength big time, letting her dish out massive blows and even whip enemies with its tail. On top of that, she can even grow the suit in size and boost her already insane strength. Oh, and did I mention invisibility? Yeah, she can vanish for sneak attacks or last-second escapes. But wait! It gets even crazier, as this suit has a slaughter mode, which is a monstrous transformation that turns her into a giant savage beast, and when you see this form, you're done. Now, everyone's favorite girl, Momo Ayase and her Psychokinesis form. Yeah, I know this is technically not a final form, but since she couldn't even use these powers until she met the Serpos, it totally counts. So, with her Psychokinesis, Momo can toss enemies around, lock them in place, or even float them in the air while she's on the move. And when it comes to close combat, she pulls enemies right into her fists, kicking them mid-air, or launches objects at them from their blind spots. She even uses psychic barriers to block attacks, though they don't always absorb all the impact. Like, this girl is inhumanly durable. If anyone gets close, she can also push her enemies away. But I hope you haven't forgotten her full power Psychokinesis form, which happened when she awakened her ki after being taken by the Serpos. In this form, she literally glows. Her hair grows longer, and she straight up says she feels invincible, being able to turn her very thoughts into reality. Like, she could launch a Serpo back into its ship with just one kick, but unfortunately that power has been sealed away, but Seiko thinks she can unlock it again with enough training. So yeah, Momo's a psychic powerhouse, and she's only gonna get stronger. Moving on, let's talk about Rin's Sawaki and her Mai Kawabanga idol form. When Rin merges with the yokai Mai, she transforms into a flashy idol-style version of herself, with a glowing bikini outfit, a microphone-shaped Mai, and long white pigtails. But it's not just for show. This form gives her gravity manipulation through singing. Yep, as Rin sings, people and objects just float around. However, she has to be singing for it to work, so if anyone interrupts her performance, her gravity powers go down. Still, Rin is way stronger than she looks, and someone you'd love to be by your side. Like, even the fairy tale card yokai said Rin had the power to destroy the world. Talking about Mai Kawabanga, she's up next, and her guardian spirit form. Mai was Rin's childhood friend, but after she tragically passed away in a car accident, her spirit became an Onbusu-man-type yokai that was bound to Rin. Eventually, though, after being cleansed by the family, she transformed into a guardian spirit. And now she's this tiny, adorable creature with a turtle shell on her head and a cute animal-like face that is right by Rin's side. Yeah, Mai is dedicated to helping Rin become a superstar idol. Oh, and Mai also hates Momo and Aira, and thinks Rin is the most perfect and beautiful girl in the entire world. Let's get back to some powerful characters, and although he might not look it, Kinta Sakata and his Great Kinta form is insanely powerful. Thanks to the Ayase household's nanoskin and Kinta's wild imagination, he builds this massive robot that he pilots like a boss. We first saw it when he designed it to stop Vamola when she lost control of her kaiju suit, and then he rebuilt it to take on Slaughter Mode Haster. Now, the nanoskin itself is kind of fragile, but thanks to Kinta and his imagination, he keeps rebuilding and repairing it mid-fight. And because it's a giant mecha, you already know it packs some crazy power. Rocket Punch, Super Electrowave Spin, and a bunch more super flashy attacks. So with its insane strength and Kinta's wild piloting, the Great Kinta form turns into a full-on wrecking machine, tearing through enemies and making sure Kinta gets his hero moment to impress the girls. Although, yeah, the girls still just don't like this guy. Another powerful character is Unji Zuma and his Umbrella Boy form. When he taps into his yokai powers, his hair turns white, his face lights up with glowing marks, and he gets a creepy mask with sharp features. His personality changes a bit too, as he, well, kind of becomes more noble-minded towards his allies than usual. But let's talk power, because Zuma becomes an absolute beast. He gets insane speed and strength, and he fights using two umbrellas that he can stab with like lances, chuck them like missiles, or unleash massive shockwaves and energy blasts. And if he's in the air, he can float down like a boss by opening one mid-fall. However, he only gets two umbrellas per fight, and if he burns through both, he loses his powers and has to wait until they recharge, just like Okarun with his all-outs. And don't forget, we also see Umbrella Boy's full power, as after the Fairy Tale card took control over him, he went beyond his two umbrella limit and just kept firing off those super powerful beams non-stop, making it almost impossible to take this guy down. Anyway, Zuma in his Umbrella Boy form is not someone you want to mess with. Next up, we've got Kuki Yukishiro, and her form, Lord of the Flies. At first, she totally gave off villain vibes, like she stormed in with that super creepy face and was looking for Momo. Anyway, after the gang chased her down, we all thought she had some wild power to control these tiny creatures called pigmites. But nope, she just sees them. And because of that, they're loyal to her and follow her around like bodyguards. But soon after that, we saw her real power, which is controlling insects by playing the piano. Yep, she plays melodies, and the bugs just know what she wants. She can make them attack, track people down, or even search an entire city, like she did when she summoned a massive swarm of flies to hunt down Murakami. Creepy, sure, but also really cool. Now, let's talk about Hase and his Jumping Crone form. Yeah, this is the same guy who used to bully Okarun back at Kami High, But after Okarun totally embarrassed him in gym class, he got super angry. So during the Kozuka Knives arc, he ends up getting the powers of the Jumping Crone yokai and wants to get revenge on Okarun. Once he transforms, Hase puts on a full-on demonic mask with sharp teeth, creepy slits for eyes, and a pair of horns to top it off. His hair flares wild, his ears get huge, and his legs turn absolutely jacked, with built-in spring systems in his feet, and he uses those springs to launch himself into devastating flying kicks and non-stop leaping attacks. The higher he jumps, the harder he hits. So yeah, Hase went from annoying bully to a superpowered kicker with some serious anger issues. Moving on, we've got Ayase and his darkness form. Ayase is a cursed object collector alongside his partner Kashimoto, and when things get serious, he transforms into this terrifying shadowy beast with glowing slit eyes, massive claws, a horned head, and this beak-like mouth. In this form, Ayase can manipulate shadows, merge with them, move around completely silently, and strike from anywhere. Like he can shoot shadow spikes out of the ground to take down enemies instantly. Oh, and he's also insanely strong. So yep, he's strong, creepy, fast, and super deadly. But talking about Ayase, we of course gotta talk about Kashimoto and his Ice Flame form. In this form, Kashimoto taps into the spiritual power of a guardian spirit, a massive frozen flame shaped like a spiraling phoenix, with one side a bird head and the other a wing. And it's just so cool. This spirit drops the temperature down to absolute 0, and with every punch it freezes and shatters whatever it hits. And we first see it in action when he blasted the Minotaur away from Seiko, landing a devastating blow with his icy phoenix spirit behind him. So this is basically Kashimoto's final form, and it makes him a total beast in battle. Now, we obviously gotta talk about Turbo Granny and her final form, her Maneki Neko form. Yeah, you probably thought we were gonna talk about her spiritual form. Nope, her final form is her cute little cat form. Just by being nearby, she can grant good luck to anyone, and it straight up negates any bad stuff happening in that moment. Like when she and Okarun were about to get drowned in lava, her luck kicked in and saved them both. The catch though is that Turbo Granny can't actually control who she gives her luck to. So yeah, it might help her or her friends, but it could also help an enemy. So basically having Turbo Granny by your side is pure chaos. Next up, no one's favorite Nakikido and her Subterranean Form. Well, it's basically just her original form. You see, the Kidos are these super scary weird guys, but we also see that they're really strong, like how Naki was able to send Momo crushing through walls. So the Kido are fast, strong, and durable, but they're actually not just some weird-looking guys, they are Subterrians, and this is their original form. Yeah, I just had to include this because we all knew something super weird was up with these guys. Anyway, let's talk about Mr. Mantis Shrimp and his Dover Demon Strong Style 24 form. This humanoid boxer transforms into a mantis shrimp-like beast, complete with glowing green eyes, antennae, and raptorial arms that double as shields. In this form, he gets a massive boost in strength, letting him throw some insane mid-range shockwave punches that wreck anything in his way. But here's the catch, he can only stay in this form for 24 seconds. Yep. Well, unless he drinks a Serpo energy drink, which boosts the limit to a whopping 24 hours. And although he might look it, he can't breathe underwater. Still, when he's in this form, Mr. Mantis Shrimp is an absolute beast. Now, let's talk about the Jet Booster Exosuit Cure and her Aviate Exosuit form. We first meet this alien when she attacks Okarun during the Cure invasion on Earth. But after she gets wrecked by Okarun and her original jet booster suit is totaled, Count Saint-Germain steps in and gives her the Aviate Exosuit, and yeah, it's a huge upgrade. This new suit is all about speed, power, and agility, and she uses it for close quarters combat, flying around the battlefield with its propulsion system and closing in on her targets with insane movement and precision. Her melee attacks also hit way harder now, and thanks to the suit's mobility, she's harder to hit and even more dangerous up close. Moving on, we've got this guy. Okay, we don't know this guy's name, so I'm just gonna call him Man. Anyway, Man's final form is his Minotaur form, and although we don't know his name, he is OP. In his final form, he becomes a massive, jacked-up bullman with crazy iron skin, glowing circular eyes, and human hands. The Minotaur in his iron body gives him ridiculous physical strength, delivering punches and kicks powerful enough to take down even someone like Seiko. But the wildest part is that the more you hit him, the stronger he gets. Yeah, his strength literally increases the more damage he takes, which is terrifying. Add in his insane durability from that iron body, and although we don't know his name, this Minotaur man is an absolute menace. Now, the next character we gotta talk about is Mika Adachi and her Jiangshi control form. Yeah, okay, this is also not technically a final form, but just roll with it, alright? So, Adachi's got this creepy ability where she can summon and control Jiangshi, basically reanimated corpses. So she uses the Jiangshi to engage in battle while she remains at a safe distance, watching and controlling. She's not the strongest, but she's definitely got a pretty scary power. Now, last but definitely not least, we've got Rokuro Serpo and his Nanoskin form. We all just hate the Serpos, right? Well, except for Goat Rokuro. You see, after the Serpos got ambushed by the Cur and ended up in a super intense fight with those freaky aliens, Rokuro actually fought side by side with Momo and became her ally. But he also got seriously injured. So to save his life, Mr. Mantis Shrimp patched him up using Nanoskin, giving Rokuro this crazy new ability to shape his body into all kinds of ways. Like Rokuro is able to do infiltration missions, like morphing his body into clothes for disguises or hacking into tech. And during the fight against Umbrella Boy, Rokuro formed a convenience store counter that shot a particle beam out of its scanner and even worked as a shield. So yeah, Rokuro with his Nanoskin is just the best. But which final form is your favorite? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and watch this video next.